check. Let's do a little audio check right now, guys. I'm hoping this is going to be a little bit better. And I really hope this camera hasn't frozen. Right, here we go, fingers crossed. I'm going to press this button and the camera's not frozen. Rightio, we've done it. G'day, Stu from UAVFutures. Welcome back to our live stream. Happy flying, episode number 10, which is kind of crazy if you ask me. I'm pretty proud of setting myself that goal. We're going to go through a few little housekeeping things first. We're going to be talking all things FPV, having a great time, hanging out with you guys. It is the best part of my working week. But I need to go through and double check a couple of things first before we continue. I'm a little bit worried about every time I click recording on my computer that it freezes the stream or freezes this camera that you're watching. So I don't know what the issue is there. And I have also added another thing into the mix, which is this microphone right here. So please let me know, how is this audio maybe compared to usual? What's the volume like? If you check your settings and those sorts of things, that will really help me out. So we can get that set up first. Then we can continue and get on with the stream. All right, we can see, I'm going to double check who's in the chat here. We've got Corey, he's saying hit that like button. Well, that is very kind of you. Thanks very much. We've got Great Scott. Huge shout out to him. Thank you much for your patronage. By the way, he's saying audio is great in full caps. I can see Johnny DRC, of course. He's always in here, one of the #1 supporters on the show. We've got Loch Ness as well saying, g'day, people. And let's have a little scroll. Yes, people saying yes, awesome, good audio, fantastic. And I did read all those things as well, saying plug it back in, Stu, turn it off, reset, all that sort of stuff when it came to the camera. I was doing it like I had everything set up here, ready to go. I've got my run sheet, I've got all my tabs open. Everything is ready to go through and talk about all the things on today's stream. And then when I clicked on this little button here, which transitions the scene, my face was frozen, which was not always a good thing. All right, let's talk about what we've got coming up in the stream. So we're going to focus a little bit on mental health. That's what we always start this show off with, and that's why it's called Happy Flying. It's all about promoting positive mental health and the joys of FPV, and just I know exactly what it's like. So we're going to be talking about, I guess, mental health and talking a little bit about that. We are going to be talking about this bad boy, which I have right here. So you might have seen a few videos if you were into long range, or a couple of things about the Nomad system, which I am really excited for. I know a few other people have made some videos on it, but they don't really seem as excited about the one feature as some of the others that I can't wait to talk about a little bit about this. We're going to be talking about the best way to mount your antenna, because boy, oh boy, have you ever seen a craft like this? I built this yesterday. This is going to be something that I'm using a little bit. This is coming in at 230 grams. So I have like a 5-inch right here, except this has, let's count them together, 1, 2 antennas for video. Then we've got antenna number 3, antenna number 4, antenna number 5, and antenna number 6. So this craft right here, it's got 6 antennas. So we're going to be talking a little bit about antenna placement and just how to get the most out of that, because it is important. If you're after good range, good video, the best thing you can do, the #1 thing that I would recommend, is you need to get your antennas sorted. You can be pumping out heaps of power or different frequencies and all that sort of stuff, but if you don't have your antennas set up correctly, or you're doing some things that are adverse to what you want to achieve, it's not about looks, it is about function. So that's what we're going to be looking at in a little bit as well. Of course, we have this package to open, and I've decided to open this on stream because it's finally turned up. I need to say I was a little bit wrong in one of my last streams. Yes, I make mistakes. Just anyway, we've got this right here. So, well, there we go. I'm just showing everybody my address. But this here is from Emacs. We're going to be talking about. I'm hoping it is the new digital option that I'm going to be going through. Otherwise, it could be something else that hopefully I'm not breaking NDA and open up the wrong product on stream. So we'll be having a look at that. People are saying audio is loud and clear. That's good. Loch Ness is saying what happened to the janky headphones. I keep saying it that I want to work on the audio, and that's why we have this microphone right here. They are still around, but I was getting a bit sick of it dropping in and out, and I decided this morning I was going to get up a little bit early, go through some troubleshooting, try and do some recordings and testings and those things. So anyway, it's here. We have this bad boy has turned up, which we're going to be talking about a little bit as well. So this is my #1 radio of choice. You would have seen this in so many of my videos, but I'm excited to talk a little bit about the Pocket Crush now with a bit of a hands-on. We'll be going through that. We have some Reddit posts, which actually made me a little bit mad, which we need to talk about. Why your YouTube videos suck. You know, I might have some experience there. I've made some absolute terrible ones in the past, but hopefully I can convey some information that helps you guys as well. And then this is one that I'm pretty excited about. We're going to be going through the top 10 products that changed FPV forever. So if you think there was a product, like these are the things that had the biggest impact on FPV, please throw them in the chat as well. Of course, if you've got any questions, just let me know. What are you flying? What are you enjoying? What do you want to learn about? If you have a question about FPV, please put it down below, because that is what I am here for. I'm here for, like, I like entertaining you guys. I love hanging out with you guys. It is the best part of my working week. However, if you have a question and I can help you get flying, I can help you get up and enjoy the skies and the beauty of FPV, that's what it's all about. So please throw them down below. And then finally, I need to talk a little bit about DIY FPV and sort of some of the things we have, and then maybe some things that we're missing or we can implement in the future. So let's do it. Let's move up to, I guess, episode number 10. And this one, a huge shout out to Nice FPV. And when I spoke to him about starting live streams and everything, and I'm a big believer in this one, and it is setting yourself some goals. So one of the things I know I really struggled with, especially when I was struggling with my mental health and depression and the depths of that, and with COVID, and it was just kind of getting anything done. And I would have these grand ideas of like, this is what I need to do to snap out of this or fix this. And I just needed to, looking back now, it's a lot easier with hindsight and the wisdom of time. And I thought, well, something that really might have helped is just setting some goals, but making them manageable. And another thing, of course, because I found out since I've had ADHD and getting that under control and working with that, a lot of times when you've got ADHD, you can set yourself some massive goals. Like, I'm going to get 400,000 subscribers by this year, and I'm going to do 1,000 videos in 300 days, or whatever it's going to be. Those goals are absolutely ridiculous. If you should just set yourself some small achievable goals, and if this could go for anything, this could go for maybe you want to get outside and exercise more, maybe you want to fly some really cool spots, maybe you want to do 2 FPV videos a week, or whatever it may be, just make those goals achievable. And today I'm pretty excited, and I want to thank you guys for being here, because this is stream number 10. And that was my goal when I want to keep doing this. I like doing the streams. Like I say, it's the best part of my working week. I absolutely love it. Hanging out with you guys, I really feel like we're a close-knit little family. So thank you very much for being here. If you're watching that right now, I'm serious. That's you. You listening to this, you watching this, you putting those chats in the comments. So thank you very much. And this is just stream number 10. That was my goal, and I'm kind of I'm proud of myself for achieving that one. So that is a big motivator for me, and a little lesson that maybe I can pass on to some of you guys. If you want to work towards something, set yourself a little goal. It doesn't have to be massive, even if, right, if you are really struggling with your mental health, and maybe it is just to get outside, to go for a 2-minute walk, some people might laugh at this, but I fully understand this. Like, people who really struggle with their mental health, the smallest things can feel really, really difficult. And even something like, hey man, just set yourself to have a shower every day this week. And you know, that seems like a totally normal thing that most people do. But when you are really struggling and everything and the weight of the world is coming down on you and you can't get out of bed each day, I understand what that can be like. And so maybe if that is you, just try to set yourself a goal and say, you know what, I'm gonna do it every single day this week. I'm gonna achieve that little goal. So it doesn't matter if it's big or small. Just make it achievable for you, and I want you to know that I'm proud of you. If that's you listening to this and you think, yeah, I'm I might set myself a goal. So thanks very much. And if it's not you and you're not struggling with your mental health, well, then all the more power to you. Congratulations. And that's just a little thing that's going out to those people who might need a little bit of help and support. I want you to know that I'm proud of you. You're special, and I'm glad that you're here. So anyway, that's a little bit about mental health. We're going to talk about FPV. We're going to jump in, talk all things that are exciting coming up in the FPV world. I just wanted to get that out there because you never know. A little comment might change somebody's life. And if I can spread some positivity around the world, and I know it's just virtually through this camera, but I want to send it out to you. So if that is you and you are struggling with anything, I just want to know that you're valued, and thank you for being here. Okay, I'm going to answer a couple of these questions. We got Letus, he's in here as well, and he's talking about a little bit about his mental health, a little bit political in that comment, but I'm not going to dive into that wormhole. We've got, I don't even know how to pronounce that, so I'm just going to say Q1234. He's saying, I'm new to FPV and was thinking about buying a YMZ FPV LRS Lightning V2 Walks Now RadioMaster Pocket and a Fat Shark Recon HD goggles. Should I reconsider? What am I purchasing, or what is good? Now, you can let me know this in the chat as well, but I strongly recommend, I love, like you mentioned, I love Radio Pocket, my go-to radio, and the biggest one is, I've got all the radios, every single radio that has basically ever come out. I even have some special Mr. Steel, one-off, like limited edition, old, what did they used to be, Tyrannus radios, and some real classics that I have. But in terms of like a form and function radio, I love the RadioMaster Pocket. And the other one, which I would say is a close second, because I do like the gimbals, I do appreciate what it can do, is this. So this is the Crush, but this is totally not needed. If you said to me, Stu, all you can ever fly is the Pocket, thumbs up, it's good enough. It is absolutely great. And a good analogy I would say is, even the gimbals on here are like relatively base value gimbals. Think of how many people play PlayStation or Xbox in the world. They never complain too much about the gimbals that they find on their remote controllers. This is 1,000 times better. Like the resolution that you get from these is so much better than those dodgy little Xbox controllers and things. So the radio is absolutely fantastic. As far as the Lightning goes, and this is going to come up a little bit as well, because I had someone else talking about the Mob 8 or the Lightning V2. If you are new to FPV, I think the Mob 8 with Walk Snail is a better drone than the Lightning V2. Please let me know in the comments. However, if you are wanting to fly around outdoors more, you're not really interested in indoor flying, and you need to put the time in the sims, for me, I would personally prefer the Lightning. I think it's a better craft. I like what it does more, but I still absolutely love the Mob 8 as well. Like, I've got both of those. I know Stickman Steve's got both of them. And I'm sure he could let us know in the comments as well. Like, Steve, I can see him in here. He said, what would you fly if you could only fly the Lightning or only fly the Mob 8? Which one of those would you choose for your situation? Not for a beginner, but for you. And I think most people out there, once they've got a few flights under their belt, they've got a little bit of wisdom, they're going to pick the Lightning V2. It is a more fun craft. It is faster, but it is more breakable. You're probably going to break that a lot more. Like, it's a bit of a racing machine, like an F1 car, where the Mob 8 is more of a derby basher sort of car. So one is far more forgiving than the other. A little nick with an F1 car, you're probably going to feel it a little bit more, and it may break your craft. Whereas if you're flying around with the Mob 8, it's going to bounce off walls and ceilings and trees, absolutely no problem. Now, the big one here, you said, should you get the Fat Shark Recon, what was it? The Fat Shark Recon HD goggles. And I would say reconsider that purchase heavily. I can see a couple of people are saying definitely the Walk Snail goggles. How much is the those? Let's have a little squiz at that. So Fat Shark Recon, what is that? Is it HD? Sorry about the clicky clacky keyboard now. Let's have a look here. That can't be right. Is that how much though? That's in Australian dollars. Let's find. Okay, we'll have a look at a Rotor Riot. Here we go. Let's get this over to this screen right here. Oh, now I'm actually quite a little bit worried about changing my screen. If this breaks my stream, I need you guys to light the chat up and let me know and bear with me. So we're doing this for you. So this is the Fat Shark Recon HD goggles. Ooh, it didn't break. Okay. And you can see Rotor Riot. Let's block them. These do not get those if that's what you are talking about. They are $170, which I would say when you have something like the Walk Snail Goggles L, I've done a few videos on those, they are 1,000 times better than what this is. Those I'm going to say don't buy them. There we go. That's my job, right, as a reviewer, but you are going to be so much better served spending an extra $30 to have an experience that is so much better. And I will let you on a little secret right here. I have been flying, and this is no word of a lie, the Goggles L almost as much as my Goggles X. I feel like I get better range with the Goggles L, and I do need to change my antennas on the goggles, the Walk Snail Goggle X, but they're like a $500 pair of goggles. The Goggles L are absolutely amazing, and I am thinking about on some more risky missions that are flying around with digital using those more. So they're a fantastic goggle. And let's see, Norge Squad is saying I miss old Rota Riot when Chapu and Oh My God and Steel was in there. Yeah, so you might appreciate today's episode. We're going to be talking about 10 things that changed FPV forever. Yes, we've got a few things to talk about. And also, you guys need to be a little bit of timekeepers because I can get carried away right here and ramble on forever. I'm so passionate about FPV, just like hanging out with you guys. But I do need to go flying at some point today as well. Justin Young is saying we lost our 7-week-old daughter to SIDS last month. And this is part of my therapy. Thank you for all you do and the person that you are, my brother. I'm terribly sorry to hear that, mate. I don't know if you need anything or you would like to have somebody to talk to, or hopefully there's people in your life you can. But honestly, if you need to email me and just have a chat, or you can message me on Discord, just let me know. So I'm really sorry to hear that. My heart really does go out to you. Maybe I actually don't have I wish I did have an answer for you, but I don't. I can't imagine what you're going through. I would just like to say that I'm glad that you're here and you're valued and you're special. And I'm really sorry to hear that. Okay. It looks like we've got some other people sending through some love for you in the chat as well. I'm going to, and this is in no offense. I don't know how to transition from that. So I'm just going to move on, because there's nothing I can say that would not be appropriate, but I don't want to take away from the severity of the situation or anything like that. I just like to say my heart's going out to you, and I'm really glad that you're here. And if this helps, it's absolutely my pleasure to let you know that we're here for you, and the FPV community is amazing. Okay. How much is the Walk Snail module? That is from Great Scott. That is around $180. So yeah, that's what we were talking about, is the Goggles L. They don't have HDMI in, but I don't necessarily think you need that. So getting back to that comment with going flying, I really recommend getting the Walk Snail Goggles L. They are significantly they're my favorite FPV goggles. So if that's your little kit with the Lightning, with the Goggles L, and with the RadioMaster Pocket, that would be my recommendation. Even if you have to wait that little bit of extra time because you might need to find which store's got the Goggles L in stock or something, guess what? You've got some sim time, so you can practice on there. So when you do get your Lightning, you're going to have an awesome time with it. But and if you need a sim key as well, please let me know, or send me an email or something and say, hey Stu, I was in your live stream. Do you have a spare sim key that I can practice on? I'll try and track one down. I don't know what the sim will be. It might not even, there's even free ones out there, but you're going to have some skills. So when your Lightning does turn up, then you can have a good time with it. All right, let's move on. I want to talk about this a little bit. So I'm going to get this off the screen, and we're going to talk about the RadioMaster Nomad system. You might have seen this pop up a little bit in some streams or in some videos. This is this right here, this big chunky boy, and I am so excited for this. It is coming in, it looks about $90. I wonder if that is, that's probably in Australian though, so it might be even a little bit cheaper. Jumping over here, we have it right here. And the exciting part about this is that essentially this is, you will see we have 6 antennas, or I have 4 antennas on here, and we can transmit finally on our low band, or I guess you would say around the 900 megahertz. It's around a kind of what like Crossfire used to transmit on, as well as our 2.4. This can switch between them, and using the Gemini and ELRS, RadioMaster has been absolutely killing it. And what we can do now is transmit twice as much data, or packets, I should say, or you can transmit them on 2 different channels. Now, whether you want to have 2 900 megahertz channels, 2 2.4 channels, or what I am really excited about, and I think this is a feature that is heavily underrated, because what you can do now when you are cruising around, if you are worried about fail safes, and I have to say that ELRS, it has the strongest link out there, but flying around with this, if you were going to be going on a mission and you are not sure where you're going to get a failsafe, because failsafes generally are unplanned. Every time that I go flying and I get a failsafe, it's almost unexpected. Like, unless you're pushing the boundaries to the absolute limits and you are expecting it, well, then you might have a little bit more experience. You might know what you're doing. But I can tell you, if you are flying around and you're like, oh, I just had a dropout, or I just had a failsafe, what is going on right there? It's a very scary experience, and quite often you will fly your craft back. Now, normal ELRS, it flies around on 2.4, so a normal craft like this, it's flying around on 2.4, although this one is a little bit special, and you'll talk about why. However, you can get receivers now, which also come with this. I wonder if there's one on the screen right here. Well, I had one that came with my review kit. Anyway, the receiver in here, it actually has 4 antennas on here, and it has 2 at 2.4 and 2 in the 900 megahertz range, which means when you set your transmitter up correctly, and this would be my recommendation, and the one thing I'm really excited about is those unexpected fail safes, you can hopefully avoid, or you've got a much higher chance of getting past those. So one of these is flying around and talking to it on 2.4 gigahertz, having a great time. The other one at the same time is sending 900 megahertz. They're sending all those packets. So if you lose, you get some interference from like a cell tower on the low band. Your 2.4's there. You fly behind a building or a little bit of earth where the 2.4 signal drops out. Well, now your RadioMaster, your RadioMaster Nomad, it's got you covered, because it's going to jump over and be able to still pick up, not jump over, it's going to be able to still pick up the other frequencies. So I think this is going to go a long way, and a lot of people are going to find uses for this. Unfortunately, I can see it's like fortunate for us, but unfortunate for, I guess, the military situation or the weaponization, because if you are trying to block a drone or block a frequency, this is going to make it, I guess, twice as hard to be able to do that. But in terms of us everyday pilots flying around, if you want to get the absolute, this is what I would use on a long range mission or any risky mission. Doesn't have to be long range. If I was flying around and I wasn't sure on where I was going to get my failsafe, for 99% of people, this would be an amazing solution. It's probably what I'm going to use as well when I'm doing some testing. So we do have a video coming up about that. You can see we have this craft right here. So this probably brings us on to the next part. Excuse me. Let's say, actually, we've got some other questions here. Johnny DRC is saying, I did 2.1 miles on ELRS Boxer. Yeah, you're going to get amazing range with standard ELRS. This is the part that blows people's mind, because ELRS, it is so good. It is open source. I love it. I am struggling to think of a time when I've had a failsafe on ELRS. The problem is maybe with those tiny little ceramic antennas, but if you are flying around, like a little whoop, I would have done like from one end of the farm to the other. There, you see me do a lot of my flying, and I have turned around and come back because I was worried about it, but it didn't mean that I got a failsafe or a dropout. The only time actually where I've ever had a dropout is where the antenna was ripped out, which we're going to talk about antenna placement, because a prop nicked it and totally ripped it off the board, and that's where I got my failsafe and had to go walking through the mangroves, and it was basically a little scary adventure. I'll put that video picture up here if you need to look at that if you're watching this back. It was a fun video though. Okay, now talking about getting the most range, let's talk about ELRS and why mounting your antennas is so important. Because if you want to get the most range, you want to have the highest chance of not having a fail safe or getting the best video, antenna placement is absolutely critical. It is the number one thing you can do is work on your antennas if you want to have the best reception and the best link to your drone, whether that be video or whether that be your control link. So what we've got right here, I have a couple of different examples built into this quad because like I mentioned, it's got the Nomad receiver in here, but I want to go through and show you exactly what I have done. My number one tip would be, and look, because we've got so many on here, I've had to space these out a little bit different, but the principles are still going to apply. So if you're building your first drone, please be mindful of this. You cannot just tuck your antenna away inside. It needs to be doing its job, and you want to have the least amount of interference between your antenna on your craft and the antenna on your goggles or on your radio. So that'll be another big thing as well. These principles can also apply to your radio. So let's talk about this. So number one, you will see my video antennas up here on the top. Normally most drones, they usually only have one FPV antenna. This craft has two because it's using the GT Cadex walk snail system right here. But you will see they are sticking up and they are apart and away from everything else. So as much as I can on this craft, and there's going to be limitations, try to move your antennas, and I'm sure people can let me know in the chat, try to move your antennas away from any of the carbon, and you'll see that that is here. On all the antennas on this craft, and there is two antennas in this little blue bit of heat shrink out the back as well. Because carbon, it's going to block that those RF frequencies, and it's going to make it trickier. You're going to get more fail-safes. If I put these antennas inside my craft right here, it would not be a good time. Now, something that you can also do, and I wasn't able to do it on this craft with the video antennas, but I was able to do it right here. This is my 2.4 antennas. So that is what is going to be talking to my Nomad ELRS transmitter on the 2.4 range. Inside here, we have, they're coming out the back. This is one of the best ways that you can do it because you also don't want to get your drone, the props to strike your antenna. So by putting two little zip ties out the back right here, and then you simply slide your antennas up inside and heat shrink them down in one piece, not two little pieces coming off the back, because I feel like in one piece, yes, it might get snagged up on a tree if you're really unlucky, but this is a great way to keep it out of the props. And the another one, which is really, really important, please, and I've seen people completely ruin their reception. When you do an antenna, it is supposed to be as straight as possible. So right here, these are my 900 megahertz antennas running underneath. And of course, your drone is going to look very, very different. I highly doubt there is any drones in the world which have 6 antennas sticking off them. Most of them only have 2. But this is my 900 megahertz, which is going to also connect up to my Nomad. And you will notice I have tried to keep these as straight as possible. A lot of times you will see like an Immortal T, which used to be the name of the TBS one right here, which went, and it was always tried to be kept out straight. If your antenna is curled up or not straight, it's not going to work. That is how they receive, or I'm not the technical RF expert here, but I do know enough to know that you need to make sure your antennas are straight. Don't muck them up. And the other part, if you want to get the best reception, it is often best to, it's either 45 or 90 degrees to, if you're using diversity as well, so like these are, or these two, they're in 2 totally different orientations. So this one is in a totally different plane to this one right here. It would be even better maybe if this one was sticking down like that, because the null point of an antenna is when it is actually pointing at it. So if this is the transmitter, I'm going to try and do this the best I can in my old school teaching voice. Okay, kids, listen up. The antenna is firing. My transmitter is putting out information. Here's how to control the drone. And it is reaching this antenna. If it is reaching it on here, the null point of the antenna is right at the end here. The best reception is if it is like this, so that's coming along, and imagine it just slapping the whole side right there. That's what we want. That's where it's going to be connecting and talking to the drone. If it is like this and facing it, well then it's only got this tiny little tip to try to pick it up. So that would be my recommendation. Of course, that's why we try to orientate them in different planes. So this one, you can see it's different. So it's facing this way. Well, maybe it'll pick up on this one because the drone is moving around all the time. But please be mindful of that on your actual transmitting part, that's sort of something you can work on. You can orientate these antennas. So when you go flying, don't go flying with both of these at the same direction, because I would probably put them something maybe like that when I'm flying. So when this is spitting out information, it is basically covering each other's null point. That would be my recommendation for getting the longest amount of range. All right, we need to move on because I'm looking at the time. I want to catch up a little bit on the chat as well. I do still have to go flying. We're going to open some mystery packages right here. Kiz saying, yes, I'm listening. So there we go. FPV school time with Stu. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a school teacher. I taught like 11-year-olds and 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And then I got into FPV and I still wanted to teach. And that's why I'm here talking to you guys. But that was a really, that was a cool job. And I used to sometimes take my drones to school. And I can remember like, I tried to be a fun teacher, you know, that was just helping people, I guess, is a passion of mine. It's something I really like. And that's why I still do FPV. But I can remember I would fly these tiny little drones. You know, when teachers like give out awards and like, here you go, little Timmy, you did a great job today. Have this award. Well, I used to, instead of walking over and putting it on their desk, it was probably completely not helpful to the rest of the class's learning, but I'd have like a little tiny whoop or a little craft sitting there. It had a little peg and a little rope system, and I'd clip it on and I'd ride out. I'd just be sitting at my desk, and then I'd fly this little drone across to their desk and land, and they'd clip it off and get their little award and be all excited, and then I'd fly it back. You know, but of course it wasn't great because all the other kids might have been trying to read, and as soon as they heard that drone, they'd all be just watching the whole thing. So maybe not good for their learning at the time, but I'm sure they enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. Someone saying, are you drinking slime from Ghostbusters? No, this is what I've realized is an Australian thing. So this is what we call cordial. It's like everybody else that I try to talk to about this, they don't know what it is. But in Australia, I guess every kid drinks this. It's basically like a green, red, yellow liquid that you pour in like a concentrate, and then you fill it up with water. I don't know if that's, I know in America, I've struggled to try to find some of this one time when I was over there. Okay. Johnny DRC is saying, Norge, Stu has videos on them. I'm not too sure what did you mean there, Johnny DRC? And Leadus is saying, BKYRC has antennas that host both 2.4 and 900 megahertz on one antenna. I have seen those. I don't know if that is I don't think that solution would be as good as what's on the RadioMaster, because we have 4 independent antennas right there. And I think you've sort of got to tune them. And I know they have the 2 antennas in one port that goes into the receiver, but I don't know the magic behind that and how that's actually going to work. I would think that the RadioMaster solution is going to work a little bit better. And Kiz is saying we have that in the UK. We usually call that squash. Okay. All right, this we're going to talk about. I need to say I was wrong. So a little bit, when was it? So 2 weeks ago. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I made a comment or a video about like some new digital things coming from Emacs and saying it's great finally to have a player with IPC. I was wrong because it looks like RunCam actually was out first. They have this right here. So this is for the digital people out there, and I'm very, very excited. We have the RunCam Wi-Fi link. So this is based on IPC, and I cannot wait. The more people that are flying around, I think digital definitely is the way to go unless you're going to be flying whoops. It's just, I love the clarity that you get from the images. This, it looks like it was out before the Emacs one. So I do need to apologize and correct that little bit of information there. Yes, I was wrong. I'm very, very excited. The more people that are going to be getting in and cruising around with this, the better. And one problem I think with the IPC is in the past, it's been very difficult to set up. Well, not very difficult, but it has been nowhere near as easy as some of the like off-the-shelf solutions. So if you're looking at WalkSnail, you might be looking at DJI or HD0. That just works. This takes a little bit more of a setup, and I know they've got an Android app, so you need to have an Android phone, at least with the Emacs one, to get up and get working, but it's a step in the right direction. Like our hobby started as is open source. I guess Betaflight is open source. Yes, we have some great products that are closed source like DJI, WalkSnail, and HD0. But if we can have this other option here as well, and it starts to work, and we can get the prices down, and it can be competitive, there is no reason why people wouldn't want this. Like as a consumer, as part of the hobby, as everyday pilots, as people who are going to be choosing and spending their money on things, more options is always better. And I always advocate for, and it doesn't even just because it's open source, like that is great. It can be beneficial, but it doesn't have to be open source. I just want more options out there for people to choose from. We need the companies to be competing against each other. We don't need to be just getting nickeled and dimed and getting exploited. So I'm very, very happy to see this out there. I do apologize that I made that video saying Emacs was first, and I have, though, this. So we're going to open this up. We're going to have a little bit of a squiz and see what it's like. Where is here? So this is from Emacs, and I'm really hoping that this is like, I hope this is a new digital option from Emacs. And Emacs, if this is something else and I break NDA, I'm really sorry, because we might have to quickly cut the camera right here opening this up. I'm 90% sure it is based on, well, there we go. We get a lot of packaging. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is exactly what we're talking about, because we have a big wad of instructions. Where can I put this? This microphone is in the way right now. And let's have a look. Okay. Yeah, it's got to be what I'm talking about, because there's no correct packaging, and Emacs did say that this was like a very early testing option. I'm pretty sure I can talk about it. I don't remember reading anything saying that I can't. Sorry about these microphone noises. Bear with me. Won't be long. Emacs, if you're watching, I didn't just drop that on the floor. It's probably like the most important part as well, I'm pretty sure. Okay, what we've got here. This is Emacs's solution to using IPC. Yeah, sorry, those ASMR people. I'm going to get rid of these plastic parts right here. I don't like it either. I'm just going to show you the important parts. Open IPC needs dedicated goggles. Yeah, that's the hard part, is talking about the RX that we've got here. So we have right here, and look, this is very, very early days prototype, and I'm not even sure which is which. Looking at these two, because we have, I don't even want to take a guess. One of these is going to be the transmitter. One of these is going to be the receiver. We're going to be able to hook this up to our phone. That's the plan anyway. And we're going to be able to actually check some digital transmission using IPC, using a product like this. And I think I'm really excited that we have a company like Emacs, or we've also got RunCam. It looks like they're doing it as well, because this is opening the door. If they're doing the hard work in the background and streamlining that process, well, that's fantastic. It might never be as good as DJI. It might never be as easy to use as CADX, but if the price drops down, or we get some more development because it's open source, and companies like this, they don't have to spend extra money and spending money going to DJI, putting it in their quads. If Emacs can put systems like this and reduce the price, we might be getting some digital options which are significantly cheaper, and that's what it's all about. I don't want to be like, I can fly everything in the world, right? There is not a drone that I would not be able to say, hey, this is what I want to fly. But I don't care about that. I care about getting you guys flying and getting the best value for your dollar. I remember every day, 9 to 5, being a school teacher and thinking, what is the best way I can spend some money? It's too easy to look at people who have all the gear and say, you've just got to get this. This is the best. That's not what I'm interested in. You need to think, what is the best value I can get when I'm flying around? How can I have a great time? And I don't need to break the bank and buy a $600 FPV bag. Like, those people can get out of town. And this, I think, is a fantastic way to maybe, like, I don't have a crystal ball, I can't read into the future, but maybe to get into digital FPV, a system like this with IPC is very, very exciting. So I have to say hats off to Emacs. It looks like, oh, they might both be receiver units. Oh, no. Okay, so we've got the cameras as well. And don't tell my kids I use my teeth as a tool. Like, that's one little, that's a little saying we have in my house. Kids, don't use your teeth as a tool. We've got a little camera board right here as well. So I have to say, it's a very small form factor, which I'm a big, big fan of. All right. We've got Johnny DRC saying, holy sheep. I'm not too sure what he's meaning there. Open IPC HDMI hookup. Okay. Now that would be great using HDMI to your laptop and fly. Yeah, I like goggles. Like that's where I'm going to be streaming them to. That's what I'm going to be using. Teeth, Jules. I can't read what that is. The little part. I'll have to wait. Someone else put a comment in, please, so I can read that. But yeah, very, very exciting stuff. Looking at the digital coming in the future. We have another option here as well. And I want to say thanks so much for being here. This might be a good time to say, hey, this is stream number 10, and it was a goal I set. If this is the day when you think, Stu, I do like what you're doing, I'm going to send you a little bit of support, whether that be a super chat, whether that be something through Patreon. I want to do this, you know, as my full-time job. It's getting harder than ever. And if you actually get value out of this and you would like me to keep doing it, that's one of the best ways you can support the channel. So I'm just going to put that out there. If today is the day when you think, you know what, Stu, I am going to support you a little bit. Thank you for doing what you're doing. It would be greatly appreciated. All right, we also have this bad boy, and I don't want to get them mixed up. This one looks a little bit larger. This is a camera, and that must be the VTX we've got on right here. So I can't wait to put that in a quad, fly around, check out some of the ranges and those sorts of things. So very, very exciting times, as well as a little bit of light reading. And Emacs is always really good at providing information and giving reviewers, I have to say, this is from behind the curtain. Emacs is really good at supporting people when they're making videos on their products. They put embargoes on, which I think is fantastic, because I really hate that part of YouTube where you can release a product and everybody races and says, hey, I'm going to be working. They just want to get it out as quick as they can to get those clicks. I love how Emacs says, don't release it before this. It's also RadioMaster, don't release it before this. Here's all the information about it. They give you a little bit of write-up and they have some questions. I think that is definitely the way to do it. Rather than rushing to get those videos out, it gives reviewers an actual chance to go through and test it and make their mind up about it and really put it through its paces, which is also why, actually, you have not seen my Nomad video, because I'm still doing some testing. I'm going to be catching up with Stickman Steve sometime later this week, because I want to test it more. I want to fly around more. I want to get some more impressions on it. So, all right, it looks like we have, you can tell this is super early days, because even look at the pictures right here. They're like hand-drawn and some things. They should have been using the DIY FPV little creator. That would be pretty cool. All right. FXNet says, Stu, a bit of wing time. What is the sim that you like? You know what? I actually got just this morning when I was saying goodbye to the family. They were off on a bit of an adventure today. The postman turned up. He was still scared of Charlie. The dog, he was barking around, but he was fine. Eventually he came up the driveway. And I might take that when I meet up with Stickman Steve later. We're going to be talking a little bit. It's like a mini Sonic wing, so it should be very, very fast. Maybe not as forgiving, probably not a good beginner wing, but I do need to practice on the wing sim. If you have a good one, please let me know. I would like to. I haven't actually started my simming in terms of setting up a wing yet, but it's going now that it's turned up. It's going to motivate me to do that. And Norge, what is saying? Get Stickman Steve on the live stream. Maybe one day. We'll have to see if we can get a bit of a following for him. He is an absolute legend. Just don't tell him that I said that. Yeah, it's called the AR Baby Wing. That's the one, Johnny DRC. All right, we are moving on. Man, I'm looking at the time and how much stuff I have to get through. So sorry, Stickman Steve, if you're waiting for me to go flying. I still have a little bit to get through. Okay, this is something I want to talk about very briefly right here, the RadioMaster Pocket. You're going to be seeing this a little bit. I'd have to say, if you're a beginner and you want a great radio to jump in, this is your quad of choice. It's got some great colors that have come out recently, and this is the RadioMaster Pocket Crush. Now, something that I did struggle with a little bit, because as far as I can tell, the original RadioMaster Pocket, this is basically the same as that. This just is using some of the Crush's colors. So that is something that it's not terribly exciting. The price is still the same. It's just an awesome radio. So if you are looking to get into the hobby, you want to jump in, you want to use ELRS, the RadioMaster Pocket, just absolutely gorgeous. And also mixed with the nano gimbals. Now I got to get that correct because I got it incorrect last time. I said the mini. So these gimbals right here. Where are we? See these Nano gimbals? They are going to be able to go in these when these release. Now, I haven't tested these gimbals yet. That's what I am waiting for. I can't wait to put them back into my pocket and see if I can tell the difference between the original gimbals and the Nanos. But overall, if you want to get a beginner radio or just jump into ELRS for 60 bucks, it's more than I could ever ask for. Like versus what we used to pay for radio transmitters or anything like that. You don't need anything else. I've never had a fail-safe on this. I haven't done long range. Yes, it can only go up to like 300 milliwatts, or I think that's what it is. But yeah, just a great radio, more than what 99% of the pilots out there need. If you're a pincher though, I know Stickman Steve, he pinches, he still uses his pocket all the time. That may be one consideration, which might be a little bit different. If you're the BFG or somewhere with humongous hands, it might be a little bit different. So that's where that might be one consideration. For me, it's absolutely perfect. And Kiz is saying, I've only heard good things about the AGO1s. Yeah, they do feel amazing. I've only flown with these ones. So these are the full-size AGO1s. They're awesome. That's probably one of the things that makes me like this radio more not more than I should, but like it puts it at a very close second to my pocket. But this, yeah, it's great. So to be able to get those gimbals on a little pocket would be an absolute dream. All right. We have morning viewer saying 250 milliwatts. Okay, maybe, yeah, 250. Still more than enough for your everyday sort of flying. And for a beginner, you shouldn't be going too far. Anyway, now we have this part I want to talk about very briefly. So I saw this over on my Discord, and I wanted to answer this question. And it is, let me just put it on the screen for you guys. So I got this from my Discord. So this is from Crash Burn. Let's put this over here and jump over. And it says, can I make this full screen maybe? Here we go. So it said that UAVFutures Mob 8 or Lightning V2 for the first drone. I'm on a tight budget, so I'll be getting better gear with the Mob 8. But if it is really that good, I can also fly the Mobula 8 indoors with a throttle limit, which is nice. I've been on The Sims for a couple of months and borrowed my friend's Tiny Hawk for a try. So I think I'm ready for a first drone. Now, my advice here, we talked about it a little bit in the other part, in the start of the stream, is I would still get the Mob 8. As a beginner coming into the hobby, like the Mob 8 is so versatile. You can do so much. Yes, you can fly it around indoors. You can still do freestyle with it. You can still have an awesome time. It's still plenty zippy enough to have just so much fun outdoors and shooting little gaps and like doing some exploring, some slow flying. You can be bouncing off things. The Lightning V2 is a very specific craft. It is my favorite craft I have ever flown. I absolutely love it. It suits me to a T. It is fast, it is powerful, it is nimble, it is agile. You get like great video. Both of these using the same video system, so the video coming back is amazing. And it feels like the Lightning V2 feels like a 5-inch racing drone. Like I get that adrenaline dump, that dopamine hit when I'm ripping that thing around. However, it's more breakable. Like I'm not flying that indoors. I'm not taking that exploring. I'm not doing just casual bouncing off things flying. Like it is like racing locked in, and that's my favorite type of flying. But for most people, the Mob 8 is so much more versatile, and that would be my recommendation on what to get. So I don't know, some people might let me know in the comments down below, but there we go, Crashburn. I did want to just take some time out and answer that for you guys. Now I had a part here, but I'm actually going to skip this segment. We're going to talk about that, I guess, next week, because I am mindful of the time, and that is why your YouTube videos suck. So I guess I'm going to put that on the back burner. Something I did want to talk about a little bit though is these are the top 10 FPV products that changed our hobby forever. So we're going to go through some of the biggest things that had the greatest impact on what FPV looks at today, things that shaped it and ultimately pushed it in a different direction than what it might have been otherwise. Let me get this off the screen. It's pretty good my microphone's still working as well. All right, we're going to start at number 10, and please let me know if you have any other suggestions. We have, well, actually, number 10 is the part I want you to talk about. We're going to start at number 9. Okay. And I'm going to get this full screen. We have, I think I have this set up correctly. Now, this is probably, we might be going back a little bit in time as well. So if you're new to FPV in 2024, you don't understand how different it was, say, 10 years ago. So these products are about to go through drastically shaped or change the direction of our hobby. We didn't have things like digital. Maybe we'll see something that digital that pops up later on the list. But I'm going to start it off. Number 9 is this bad boy right here. So the GoPro Hero 5 or the Session 5 camera, this thing was like next level for its time. A lot of the times back in the day, we only had like bad analog signal, or I guess you know what analog is like when it comes to FPV. This right here, I have no idea why it's like this expensive. They were this tiny little form factor action camera. Everybody that I knew was filming with these around like 2017 or 2016. This is the camera everybody wanted. I know I had one. It recorded great video for the time. And the small form factor meant we could mount it at the front of our craft. We could finally get that beautiful vision and record it and stream. And I would say, not stream, record it and then put it onto a video. And I would say this is one of the big reasons why FPV had such a big impact, I guess, in the digital space, because we're making YouTube videos with that. Everybody would see the DVR that came from drones and be like, yeah, that's okay, but that looks like a 1950s TV. When you could record with this, and I think they had SuperView as well, which sort of like fisheyed the outside and focused the inside of the image, it looked amazing. And some of the first shots people were recording with these, this was great. It was more robust, and also it wasn't as good as like the GoPro Heroes. I think it was the GoPro Hero Black or something, which is the one I used to actually film still in the field. But this camera, it was more robust and lighter, and it didn't have a screen on the back, which was the number one thing that broke all the time. So that, I would say, that's my number 9 product. Number 8, we are jumping over, and who remembers these bad boys? So these are the Omway Commanders. Let me know in the chat if you had a pair of these. This was a huge shift in the mentality of FPV. I loved this pair of goggles, and unfortunately, I gave my pairs away. I would love to be able to go back in time and maybe track down a pair again or not give them away, because these Omway Commanders, they were the first competitor that really took a serious hold in the market. At the time, everything was Fat Shark. So the only pilots you saw online were flying Fat Sharks, and I believe that I was one of the first people that sort of moved over and shifted from Fat Shark to these. They were better value, they were comfier on my face, they were lighter, they did DVR. They didn't have a module bay, so you can see right here, they didn't pick up race band, but race band wasn't really a thing back then. They were just an awesome pair of goggle. This is so weird that this must be a review. Okay, so wherever I've clicked here, they've got a rundown on Fat Sharks and then talking about the competition. So there was Sky Zone, but they didn't really have a stakehold like the Omway Commanders did. And I think a lot of people might have started enjoying these because I was flying them. I feel like I was the only pilot that was repping these and talking about them. And it all came down to what I spoke about before is I want you guys, they were a great value pick. I want you to have the best decisions and be able to spend your money, your hard-earned cash on a great product that you could still have an awesome time with FPV without having to go ridiculous expensive options. And this was, I would say, one of the biggest products that changed our direction of FPV. It brought competition to the market, which forced Fat Shark and other people to start to innovate, add some new features, and also ultimately lower their price, which is fantastic for everybody. All right, we're moving on. Number 7, and this one was a big one as well that shaped our hobby. So I think this came out, and I can't believe the price of this, and I do feel a little bit sorry for TBS when it comes to this product, because I know now ELRS seems to be the go-to. Everybody loves ELRS, but at the time, a lot of us were using FreeSky. I know I used iFlight, or I'm not too sure what it, not iFlight. There was another connection that the term ISA6 or something was a different protocol, but the TBS Crossfire was the number 7 product on my list that changed FPV forever. It was the first truly long-range, reliable link that gained a lot of popularity, and it shaped a lot of things moving forward. It's still used today. That shows how good it is. It had pretty decent latency. People were getting extreme ranges. The price was a little bit more expensive than most people were used to, and I know at the time, people were flying around with FrSky, so they were like, my brain is melting here trying to think back on this, but like the XM Pluses and XM-D42s possibly, but they were like some little receivers that this was just 100 times better. If you were getting fail safes on your FR Sky receivers, jumping over to Crossfire solved everything and every issue that we had. Now, I unfortunately was a little bit late to the party when it came to Crossfire. I didn't pick it up straight away. I was pretty stubborn, and we'll talk about some of the things that happened and why I was like that. But for me, yeah, it was great. I feel a little bit sad of where they've ended up to today, because it is very hard to compete. Doesn't mean it's a bad product. It's just very hard to compete with today's ELRS. RXSR, yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Okay, looking next at the number 6 product, and this, believe it or not, you guys might never have even heard of this if you're coming in at 2024. Let's say Hobby King. No, I don't want to hear anything from Hobby King. They used to be a big website, but the Turnigy Evolution. Now, I don't know what happened to mine. I think I had a bunch of these that I'd given away, but this radio right here was the first breakaway from radios that looked like this. And this shaped our hobby, I think, for the better, because now we have so many options. But this right here, every single radio you ever saw was bigger than this one. So this is like a current RadioMaster Boxer Crush. But the radios were even bigger. They were like the Tyrannuses and the special editions, and drone pilots had no real radio that suited them that wasn't previously made for big like plane flyers and those big nitro gas, whatever they're going to be, those petrol powered planes in the sky that had all the switches and dials and things like that. This radio, it was so simple. It had like 2 switches on the back. It was everything that I needed to get flying. So I had my arm switch, I had my flip over. I don't even think flip over after crash was invented, but I had my buzzer switch. And then that was it. It had one potentiometer in the middle, some little light up gimbals. The gimbals were pretty rubbish by today's standards. The range, unfortunately, was also pretty terrible. For most of my track flying, though, I was willing to sacrifice that for how this radio felt in the hands. I loved it on the sticks. It didn't have the best latency, but it was an awesome radio to fly around with. So I really liked it. It was a decent price at the time. I think they were like $50, maybe US. I'm not too sure. Definitely don't buy it today, though. Like now, the RadioMaster Pocket is 100 times better than this. It's using ELRS. It's got better gimbals. It's running HDX. This basically had its own. I can't even remember what system it was using in the middle, but it was a cat. It was a touchscreen. That's right. It did have a touchscreen. That's how we were able to configure things. It was just a cool radio, which I think did shape our hobby and ultimately made a lot of radios to follow it. So we had like help me out here, guys. What is the FR Sky X-Lite? So then we had the X-Lite. We had then I guess later following that was the Zorro, and now we've got the Pocket. Like this was the start in about 2017 of small radios. Man, Amiga 9's just sent through basically the biggest super chat I've ever seen. So thank you so much, buddy. You must have really liked the Turnigy Evolution. But I want to say you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much. That really does make a difference. So I greatly appreciate that. I don't run ads on this stream or anything like that. I know YouTube tells me all the time, this would be a great time to turn on your ads, and I keep dismissing it. It's even on the screen right now, but I want to say thank you so much, brother. Truly do appreciate that. And I'd love to know if you're agreeing with some of these, of what are the top products of all time. It looks like people in the chat are loving it as well. So holy moly, sir, you're amazing. That's from Spaceman. And X86 is saying wow with a bit of a thumbs up right there. And someone's saying, is that Canadian? Well, I bet you that's still better than the Australian dollar. So whatever it is, brother, I want to say thank you so much. It makes a difference, like a huge difference, more than most people know. It is actually harder than ever to do this full time on YouTube and make content for you guys. And it's comments like that do keep the wheels turning. So thank you. All right. The FlySky protocol. Yeah, that's what that used. Okay, this radio used the FlySky. Now, number 5, the product that changed the hobby for a long time and still has impacts today, is this right here. So this is the Fat Shark, and it doesn't have to be the Dominator V3, but this is the image that we've got. So the Dominators were the first goggle that had a module bay. So that meant you could put in your own module in there, and you were then able to upgrade your receiver. So nowadays, when you look at things like Rapid Fire, we used to have Clearview modules and some other little modules you could put in to your goggles. This is what started it. Like the Fat Shark came out and said, hey, we've developed this module. Now you can upgrade your receiver. You can get even better video. You can use some different channels, and you didn't have to buy a new pair of goggles all the time, which is totally different to, say, the On-Way Commanders, because you were stuck with the channels that you had right here. And being able to upgrade that, I think still we have ramifications from this today. It's changed our hobby. You will see a lot of goggles, especially analog goggles, or a lot of goggles out there come with the ability to upgrade their little module bay or to add different things on them. Fat Shark was the first people to start doing that, so we still follow that trend today. Number 4, and of course, this is no surprise. This sent, I'm not going to say the biggest, maybe one of the biggest shockwaves, but didn't change our hobby the most, but definitely a huge shockwave is this right here. So we have the FPV, like DJI's first real digital option that was successful. We've had some in the past, like the Connex digital systems, but this is the first one that really came out and took the market by storm. When people were seeing this, it was unbelievable. I know I've got a video on my channel the first time somewhere where the first time I tried digital FPV, I couldn't believe it. I was used to hundreds of hours of old janky analog footage, and looking through here, it was like looking through a GoPro at the time. Like, it was mind-blowingly good, and it actually spoiled analog for me. And I still feel to this day, unless I'm flying around a little whoop or something, it's hard to go, but I just can't enjoy analog after enjoying as much as I can when I'm enjoying digital. Like, digital, it's the way to go. I think people are going to have a great time with it. It's this was the first real thing that shook up the hobby, and it also divided the hobby a little bit. So now you have two camps, digital and analog, and it has been that way ever since. Of course, it was expensive. It was heavily influenced, and there was a great partnership, I would say, on DJI's behalf with Rotor Riot. And, you know, I have my own opinions on the motivations behind that, but it did influence the market a lot, and I guess ultimately got a lot of people over into the digital side. Now, is this my favorite digital option? No, but it's still definitely for its time, maybe 2019. Someone can maybe be able to, I'll put a picture on the screen anyway later of when this came out, but at its time, it was huge. It made a massive impact in the hobby. Number 3, this is going back to 2015. Right here we have, this is this is the Naze 32. Now, this is the revision 6. I couldn't find any original ones, but this was the first F board. So we have F1 boards. Now you'll see most of the time we fly around with an F7. F3s were very big. This was the first F1 board that came to market. I think it wasn't Time Cop. It was, I just did a video on this. Someone help me out, please, right here. But anyway, this was one of the, and it ran base flight, but this board right here was the beginning of using F1s instead of smashing down other components and everything. It really paved the way for, I guess, getting beta flight eventually onto some of its boards. And there was also the SP F3, but this board right here for me kind of started it. I had a CC3D, but this was the first board that I got flying that was relatively easy to configure, and it was just a great board and a great piece of innovation or some good thinking that got this together. All right. People are saying clean flight. No, it flew before clean flight. This didn't fly clean flight. This flew, I think it was called base flight, which was, it had an orange background, which then turned into clean flight, which then forked into base flight. I got into beta flight. I got the whole video of it. Go watch this up here. I'll put it somewhere. I put a lot of research into that, and that came from, even from Nintendo, had some things to do with it. All right. Moving on, this one right here, I would say, is number 2 of the products that changed FPV for, man, why do all these websites want to jump in and keep updating me? Okay, so right here, you might not know this, but if you're a long-time enjoyer of FPV, right here we have the Inductrix Bind and Fly. Now, I don't know if this is the exact version, because a lot of the products I'm talking about that shaped FPV for good are no longer around, but this is one of the best pictures that I could find. This right here, besides being a bit of a slow website, was the first time people would take these apart, and because they flew relatively stable, I don't even think they had acro mode at the time. They came maybe with their own transmitters, I'm not entirely sure, but this is the beginning, or the origins, I believe, of what came as the Tiny Whoop. So this right here, they would take that off, they'd put a little camera on the top, and I believe Jesse Perkins was sort of the one who pioneered this and really carried the flag and championed this. I believe this is where tiny whoops came from. So then they started having tiny whoop races, and the rest is history. Tiny whoops, we call them whoops. There's so many different brands out there that followed in the footsteps of this and Jesse Perkins making tiny whoop. This right here, believe it or not, is sort of the craft that started it. So just super cool this is the origins of our hobby. This had a huge impact. Like, these races still go today. Whooping is it is bigger than ever. There is more people flying whoops than ever. They're a great craft. Look how far they've come and what they're doing. And the same thing goes for my number one pick on something that changed our hobby for good is this right here. Now, look at this original price, $150 US. This is no joke. And I believe this was an Australian designer that made this. So this is the Blackout Mini H quad frame. Before this, there were no drones out there that had, like, they were either plastic. The carbon fiber ones that were coming out were like huge. They had big like pipe arms and round arms. This is what started this. Without the drone you are seeing on the screen, we wouldn't have these drones today. Yes, this is 100 times more sophisticated, but the Blackout Mini H quad frame was just amazing for its time. It was the first 5-inch. It really cemented, hey, we're going to, and they called it 250 as the size, but it later became known as 5-inch because it would run 5-inch props. And you can see how disgustingly designed it is. There's no room for camera angle. We have some little damping mounts on the top. We've got, it looks like a power distribution board in this one, which is a terrible idea because we're going to be crashing. I'm putting a lot of stress on some of the parts in there. You can see the barbaric approach, I would say, to how this quad is designed. You would not fly this today, but at its time, nothing like this existed. Everything else was plastic. Everything else was these big, terrible drones that would like flip over and snap their legs off, and just was not good. So this, for its time, shaped our hobby for every single drone that came after it. This is like before whoops. This is before, I guess, 3 inches and 4 inches and think of all the different craft we fly today. This is like, if you looked at the family tree, this is at the top of it all. So this, and maybe this one for any tiny whoops are going to trace back to this, but every single carbon fiber craft that we fly in FPV today can trace its origins in a bit of a family tree back to this. So a huge shout out to the guys who designed that. And of course, like all things, there were iterations and things that came. This is before I was really into reviewing and was doing this full time. One of my first quads that I ever built was I got a Nighthawk because I didn't know better, but I wish I got this instead. So this was the one that I ended up getting a copy of, which was the ZMR. It was called the ZMR 250, which is like it was basically the same thing. It was about 20% of the price, which at the time I couldn't afford to get one of these. I would love to have an original one of these. I do have a Blackout hex you will see in some of my videos on the wall in the background as a bit of a tribute to this, but very, very cool. And that's another thing too, like, it used 4 motors. So at the time there were a lot of other options out there. We weren't sure where to go. We were using tricopters, we were using hexacopters. There was so many different types of craft out there. This really cemented it and that's why this is my number one product of what shaped our hobby, what shaped FPV, that had the biggest impact in the direction that our hobby took. And so hats off to them. All right, moving on. Criff, Amiga 9 is saying, I remember wanting the Rooster back in the day. The Rooster's still a great quad. Like, if you look at the design of things, the Rooster would still hold up today. A fantastic quad there by Armiton. Norge Squad is saying, I remember buying a Lumineer frame back in like 2016. Yep, that would have been the QAVs. I wanted a QAV frame as well. And it's crazy. They all basically took on that design and what it's like. And Amiga 9 is saying, I never got a tricopter to work. Okay. Let's have a look. Moving on. So I got some parts about Reddit. I'm going to talk about them next week. I'm conscious of the time and I still need to get up and get flying out at the park a little bit later. So I've got to go give Stickman Steve a buzz in a little bit. But of course, talking about the best website in the world, what I'm talking about is, please say it with me, DIY FPV. Let's go to that website right now. If you haven't heard of it, this is the website that is going to absolutely change the lives of everybody in the hobby. I'm so excited to finally be able to let you guys in here. It's been a long time coming. I mean, like, it's not open today, but it's on its way. And I'm going to jump over. A bit of a screen share. Now, what we're going to be doing in this website, I want to talk about the amazing features it has, But also, what are we missing? Maybe you have some suggestions as well, and I would love to know, because this website here, it's built by myself and also the other co-founder Tom's, and everything that's coming in here is made by pilots who absolutely love FPV. I'm extremely passionate about it. So is Tom's, who's been doing so much work in the background and definitely doesn't get enough credit for this. So I just want to give a shout out to some of the features, and then maybe you've got some good ideas of what would make this even better. So of course, it is for the community. So what would it be if we didn't have a community post? So somewhere, a page, oh man, I can't speak properly, where everybody can come together. They can put their own thoughts and ideas here, have a bit of a discussion. Everybody knows how that works. So we're going to have a dashboard, which is really important because I want you to be able to connect with other pilots around the world. We've got like a world map where people are going to be able to connect and meet up to events, and flying FPV is so much better when you are part of a community, and this website's also going to let you be part of that and meet up with other pilots in real life as well. Omega9 is saying, is this public yet? No, we're still working on it, so but it shouldn't be too much longer. Someone else is saying, when is the launch of the site? I signed up, I'm just waiting for the launch. Trust me, no one wants to launch this more than me, and it is getting pretty close. Of course, we've got our catalog right here, where this is the really exciting part. If you've ever wanted to find the exact piece that you are after, so let's have a look. So if I go to radios here, where can I find, well, let's have a look, like the pocket radio. It's going to list them all the shops, show exactly where they're in stock, show you the different variations and the price variations and different things like that. And even better than that, you can then take that over. Maybe you're looking at, oh, it looks like I haven't even logged in yet. So, okay, I'm not going to be bothering to do that, but we've got like a virtual builder where you can build your drone. You can go through and show exactly which wiring connections, wire up to what. It's a very, very powerful little tool, which is going to help so many people, especially when it comes to things like their guides. I haven't spoken about this bit a little bit. We are working on, this is all basically placeholders right now, but the real site, you're going to have guides and troubleshooting and ways to get people flying, because that's what UAVFutures is all about. That's what DIY FPV is all about. So we're going to be going through right here, and you're going to be having some troubleshooting to getting people flying. If you are any person who is into FPV, this is going to have everything for you. Now, one of the parts that I want to talk about as well is, what are we missing? So if you have some great ideas, please comment on this video or this chat, or send me an email, because there's a couple of things we're putting on the roadmap, but maybe you have a great idea to make this better for everybody. So it's really important to let us know so we can work on it. You might have a fantastic feature and think, man, I wish there was a site that did this. This is going to be the one site, I truly believe, that is going to shape the direction of our hobby forever. And if you have some amazing ideas, please let us know. So I can see Omega9 is saying, are you guys scraping stores? Are you partnered with them in getting API access? Yeah, that's what's making this special as well. Like every single store that we are adding and all these products, and this is not the full sync, like these are test syncs that we've got here because we have to run them through a database. It's not scraping data. We have like, these are stores we are partnering with, talking with, getting API access so we can see exactly their database to show you the correct information, which I think is completely different to what most other sites try to do with a bit of scraping, and it's just definitely not the way to go. This is legit top-notch integrations with the best stores in the world. So very, very exciting stuff. So anyway, that is something that I want to talk about. If you have any suggestions on how to make the best site in FPV even better, there's going to be some links down below, maybe some forms, maybe you'd like to help out. I know Kiz is already doing some stuff in the background as well. And I want to give a huge shout out to him. It's just an exciting time, and I want to make the best site that we can because I love FPV and I want to get as many people flying as we can, which is kind of the mission right here. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm looking at the time. I did have some other things I wanted to talk about, but we'll talk about Reddit a little bit, I guess, next week. Someone is saying, nice, you should reach out to Rotor Village in Canada because I'm selfish and I use them the most. Well, yeah, I've already, maybe we've contacted Rotor Village. I have like a huge list, and there's a lot of work in the background, a lot of emails getting sent off all the time, and communication with stores. We're trying to, it's not just for USA as well. Like we are trying to cover everywhere. I even had a contact I was talking to in India last week, because look, you might not have thought about this, but it's easy to forget, like, where FPV is a worldwide thing. It's not just for those countries where we see most of the videos and most of the content. I want to get as many people flying as we can. So yes, definitely we're looking at like Canadian stores. We had some in New Zealand. The other day I was talking to, getting a lot of European stores as well. A big shout out to, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, there was an Indian store that I was talking to that looked pretty legit with everything that was in there. Just an exciting time. So no matter where you live, as long as you've got access to the internet, we want to have a resource for everybody in FPV to get them flying. All right. Let's have a look. I'm going to say, you know what? That might be the end of today's stream. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Omega9, you're an absolute mad lad. Thank you so much for that super chat, sending that through. It really does make a difference. For anybody else, I'm going to say today might be the day. Think, you know what, Stu? I love what you're doing. I love what you stand for. And I'm going to go join up to your Patreon. So if that is you, thank you very much. There's a few little features there, a couple little bonus posts as well. And the biggest one, it helps share this passion of FPV. It helps keep this channel going, the wheels turning to get people flying and ultimately change their lives. So I'm going to end it on that one. Thank you so much for everybody being here. Sorry we started the stream a little bit late. The microphone, please let me know, like, was it better? Was it better this week? I don't think we cut out once rather than using my dodgy old headset. No wires hanging off or anything like that. It does make me feel like I might need a haircut a little bit more though, or maybe, you know, just keeping my hair in place. But other than that, you guys are absolutely amazing. I hope you have a fantastic day, night, wherever you are. And most importantly, I want to let you know that you're special. And I'm not even joking. You are a special person. I'm grateful that you're here, and I want to say thank you. You're part of the UAVFutures family, and just have a great time. Thanks for being here, and you're valued. All right. Catch you later, guys. Back. I do want to give a shout out to I haven't seen him in the chat this time, but I do need to give a special shout out to Drunken. He knows why. Yeah, so a big shout out to him, brother. You're a champion. Thank you so much. All right, let's continue this. Back to that amazing song.